I think it's always exciting when kind of the stars of the 15s will come out and give sevens a go. I mean, if you look back on the people who've tried to cross over since it got added to the Olympics, very few of them have really been much of a presence. I mean, Sonny Bill and Quade Cooper, Brian Habana trying to come over before Rio. DuPont's probably the best player in the world right now and obviously has all the skills. So it'd be really exciting to see him come out and see what happens, and we can test ourselves against them. But I think it's always fun for the sevens guys to see those 15 stars come out and to be slightly surprised by just what it takes. It'll be fun to see, but we're not particularly fearful of anyone, and so it'll be more fun to play against those guys who we've all watched in the World Cup and watched play around the world.
Sounds like Madison has a chip in his shoulder. Damn 15s players.
No comment.
All right, everybody, it is that time. It is 11:30 East Coast time. I believe it is 8:30 our guest time PM. This is US Rugby Happy Hour Live. This is show number 1 on the day. In just a few moments, USA 7's Madison Hughes joins us from Dubai, which, like I said, about 8:30 p.m. his time. Then later today in show number 2, Scott Lawrence, USA Rugby Men's 15's interim head coach, joins us as well. Man, I hope they remove the interim from his title soon, mainly because it's a mouthful when we introduce him. So come back later today for that as well. Again, that is going to be at 9 p.m. East Coast time tonight, so jump in for that. I'm Bill Baker of Eagles Overseas, and my co-host is Rugby Morning's John Fitzpatrick. Say hello, Fitzy.
Hey, Bill, with 2 shows today, am I getting paid twice as much?
Yes. I'll give you 10 times as much, actually. So as we discussed earlier, Fitzy, we don't have a lot of time to talk Thanksgiving or, the Toronto Arrows news or that Rachel Johnson for Exeter Chiefs did not make the PWR Team of the Week. A travesty, if you ask me. But our guest today only has a small window before curfew or other commitments or whatever he has going on. So we're going to get right into it, okay?
Let's go.
To speed things up, I asked ChatGPT to write the open for me. And
Boomer.
Yeah, I think it needs a little work, so here it is. Madison Hughes is one of the prominent celebrities of the rugby world. He is a very proficient and professional in his game. He uses skills to create obstacles for his opponent players. He was fast and rapid in the ground. He is an American Union rugby player. Boom. I mean, why do I even write this stuff? So with that said, let's welcome Madison Hughes. Madison, go ahead and unmute yourself. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Good. What'd you think of that intro? Was that something we need to work on?
I couldn't have put it any better myself. The AI is taking over. It's ready to go. We can all take a step back, I think. So.
Well, you are a professional and proficient in your game, and you create obstacles, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah, but why was it in past tense and fast? Is it Madison? You're still fast, right? What's that about?
Well, we can only hope. It's been a couple of years. We'll see how the weekend goes.
Well,
speed test. We'll have to test it out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Mike has all kinds of stuff ready for you to go. So, Madison, where you and I are kind of neighbors. I live on the North Shore of Mass, north of Boston. I've read that you spend a lot of time in like Central Mass, family, summer. Even your family are Free Jacks ticket holders. What's that about?
Yeah, that's right. So my mom is from Massachusetts, lived there her whole life until she moved to England when she met my dad. So that was kind of always our family refuge. We would go to every summer, spend a couple of months in Lancaster, Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
So right there in Central Mass. And now my parents live in Lancaster, my brother and sister in Boston. And so my parents, they're very keen Free Jacks fans. I think they make it to pretty much every home game. So they absolutely love it there. And yeah, I get out to Massachusetts whenever I can. I'll be there kind of after this tour, go out for Christmas with my fiance and our dog, and we'll be there for a couple of weeks. So yeah, love being out there in Massachusetts, but have been in California for a while now. So yeah,
a little warmer, a little warmer on the West Coast.
Just a little bit. I went from winters in London to winters in New Hampshire to winters in San Diego, and we'll see how I fare. We'll see how I fare.
He's not coming back. So speaking of back, welcome back to USA Sevens. At the time of your sabbatical began, you were the program's leading scorer in tries and conversions. and also the team's leading tackler. Is that the reason why you left? The physicality?
Well, I did need shoulder surgery after Tokyo,
Yeah,
so
yes.
all those tackles might have added up. But no, I mean, I love just having an impact in any way I can. So I have a lot of conversions right in front of the post, thanks to some of our faster guys. So they add up over a number of years, I guess.
And during this time, I know you're friends with Alex McElby. How many phone calls did you get from TK or the Free Jacks about playing Major League Rugby?
They were pretty good. I had a couple texts with TK, but no, Mags has always been a great mentor of mine and helped me kind of plan out a lot of what I've done over the years. So I think we had a couple conversations early on. He was very supportive of kind of the steps that I was taking and mostly left me to it. And hey, I mean, the Free Jacks did great. So that needed absolutely nothing from me. They were absolutely flying last year.
Madison, this is probably going to be the most important question you're going to be faced today, but do you miss the long hair?
Ooh.
That's a great question. I mean, it was sad when I cut it off. When I saw it falling to the ground, there was a moment where I was like, "Oh wow, I don't know if I'll ever do this again." But having said that, when you're out there on the pitch and it's getting in your eyes and you're getting extra hot and it's getting pulled on and stuff like that, it's nice to feel a bit lighter. And as ChatGPT said, I was fast with the hair. With the hair, who knows what would happen? So I needed to lose that weight.
No, all good. And as Bill mentioned, welcome back again from the sabbatical. But I mean, you kept yourself busy. You said you talked about recovering from your shoulder injury. You dove into television commentary. You started playing in the PR7s. You got engaged. What else kept you busy during that time?
Yeah, so I mean, that first year, I think a lot of it was trying to figure myself out. I think I'd been kind of full go with the sevens for a very long time and had kind of got into a place where I felt like I needed a bit of a change. The sort of shoulder surgery was a part of that. And then I went to business school, so I have done 1 year of my MBA and have now taken a step away from that, back with the sevens team, but we'll plan to go back to that after the Olympics. So kind of have dabbled in a few different things. I really enjoyed playing PR7s. I think that was, especially last summer, it was a little bit of a test of, okay, do I still want to kind of push myself and try to play at this level? And then this summer, I kind of approached it a little bit more, kind of had really geared up for that. And it was like, okay, cool. I know where I'm at physically and where I'm at mentally. And that was kind of a bit of a launch pad to try and compete and get back to the sevens team.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your return there. Was it always in the plan to come back and rejoin the USA Sevens program?
I definitely kept that dialogue open. I mean, I think when I left, I intentionally didn't retire and I was kind of taking a step away in a sabbatical and all sorts of different words to who knows what any of them really meant. But I kind of kept that dialogue open with Mike and was kind of having a conversation with him kind of every few months the whole time about trying to come back. Because, I mean, I was 29 when I left and 31 now. So like I felt like I could still compete, but was starting to get a bit older. But I wanted to test kind of what life away from the team and away from rugby a little bit was like. So it was always there that who knows what would happen. Maybe I'd find something and be like, you know what, it's been an amazing time with the sevens team. It was an amazing journey, but I'm ready to go on to something else. But as kind of things went, I had it in my head that, you know what, I feel like I've got some unfinished business. I feel like I can still compete at that level and I'd miss being around the team and miss competing at that level. So kind of decided to take a step back into the fray.
Yeah, and as you were thinking through all that, when did it really click for you when you were like, you know what, that's it, I got to get back out there? Was it an easy decision or was it kind of like a gradual, like this is a part of my life that I need again?
Yeah, I mean, I think over the course of last season, I had a couple I commentated in LA and Vancouver. And when I'm watching at home, and especially in the middle of the night, it can be a little bit of like, you know what, those guys are doing great. But when I was there at the events, I think it really did. It gave me a little bit of that bug. You know, I want to be back out there. I want to be playing. And then, yeah, once the team kind of booked qualification for the Olympics, that was the full send. I'm definitely going for it. And so the team did great. The qualifier I was absolutely nervous. I'm not a good watcher. And so I was struggling watching, but the guys did so well, absolutely dominated that qualifier. And once they fully wrapped that up, it was kind of full send. I'm going back. But even before that, I was really struggling with emotions as I was kind of preparing for PR7s and stuff like that of like, I can't imagine that I won't go back and really struggling mentally with the thought that I wouldn't. And so making that decision felt really good. And I felt in a really good place mentally since I kind of have rejoined the team.
So it had nothing to do with the rumors that you did not want Perry Baker to catch up to you in points scored.
No, I mean, records are meant to be broken. I think I benefited more than anyone else from so many of Perry's tries, and if he is able to ever do that on just tries alone, I mean, I know he's got like one or two conversions, but pretty much purely in tries, that would be amazing. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, and I couldn't be any more sportive of the guys. But now, as the tackling record, I saw like Jonathan Logel, I think it was from France, overtook me in series tackles, and can't have that.
Bastard. So let's talk about the program a bit. You've had a chance to step away, but other than the names and the jerseys, what have you seen has changed since you left?
Yeah, I mean, I think the team's in a really interesting and quite a good place right now. I think there's been a little bit of a change in the guard. We had that kind of group who were really consistently performing for a number of years together, and some of them are still there, but some of them have now stepped away, and that's created a little bit of a void and a gap that other people have stepped up into. And I think that was a part of the impetus. Like, I had my own personal reasons for leaving the team, but I think there was also some on the team side as well that I was hoping that kind of in myself stepping away at the same time as kind of Danny and Marty and some others, that might create a little bit of space for some of the younger guys to really emerge and find their voice. And I think that's happened in many ways. I mean, Kayvon Williams, obviously, as the captain, has really stepped up. I think really kind of were within themselves a little bit over a number of years. And I think those guys have kind of started to emerge into themselves. And that's been great to see. And so it's been a lot of fun being on this tour. I mean, so we're without kind of four of those senior guys. So Joe, Kayvon, Steve, and Perry aren't here, and so it's even more of a mix. So we got myself and Ben Pinkelman coming back, but we've got a lot of young guys who are kind of excited, taking everything in for the first time, and that's been really fun. I think it's created fun vibes, and excited to see how these 2 weeks go. And then when we reintegrate those four senior guys, I think that balance will be a really fun one to be a part of.
And has Mike Friday discussed his expectations of you this week in Dubai? Example, playing time.
Not really. I mean, I think it's a bit up in the air, and we're still figuring it out. I mean, I think he's just, and something we've kind of focused on throughout this is allowing me to be myself. I think when I was kind of captain of the team in the role I was in before, a lot of my focus was on the whole of the team and every single person and how that all fit together. And so I think for now, it's been his kind of message has been, I want you to focus on yourself and what you can bring to the table. And obviously there is a leadership component to that, and there is a team dynamics component to that. But for me, it's kind of focusing on what I can bring to the table and kind of just trying to find my feet again. And so we'll see how that goes. And I think it's one of those things, once you're out on the pitch, for me at least, everything drops away, and I can really become myself. And I really enjoy that. And I'm looking forward to that this weekend, and we'll see how everything goes.
Yeah, Madison, you mentioned some of the veteran players on the squad. A couple I want to talk about, in particular, Ben Pinkelman. I mean, his return from a pretty debilitating back injury is pretty inspiring stuff. I'm curious, did you chat with him as he stepped away from rugby, and then as he was, plotting his return, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, we chatted a few times. I think I felt so bad for Pinky. I mean, it was kind of something he was dealing with that whole year in the run up to the Olympics. And it was kind of constantly a battle of like, what can I do at certain times? And having then felt like he got into a pretty good place, having to pull out of that Olympic squad after selection, I think was absolutely devastating for him. And I think showed real maturity that he was able to kind of make that decision and take it on himself and know where his limitations were. And I think that was something that was really impressive. And I think at that stage, I mean, he was just in a mental place where I think he really needed a break and needed to step away. And having spoken to him, I mean, he got really into coaching, and I think he's even younger than me, so he's a couple of years younger than me. But I think it was in a place where, you know what, like, I'm enjoying this, but I still feel that itch and that desire. And over a certain period of time, I think he kind of realized, oh, you know what, I can do this, and if I'm conscious of what I'm able to do at different times, then I think this is something that I can give it a real go at. And I mean, I couldn't have been more excited to watch him during that qualifier of the summer. And it was amazing. The presence and what he added to that team was amazing to see. And it was awesome to see him back out there and pushing. And it's been great to be back out on the pitch with him. I think for either of us who knew what would happen kind of when we left. And so it's been incredible. I think I've had so many teammates over the years, but he's right up there with anyone I'd love to get out there on the field with. And so it's been awesome. And I'm so excited to take the pitch with him again this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. We've chatted with Ben Pinkelman on here, and also Stephen Thomasine, and obviously playing at the elite level in sevens, it's very much a physically demanding game. I don't think the average fan truly understands how much goes into the body, and this may just be an obvious statement here, but the sevens and the Olympics and World Rugby sevens, a lot of it must be just a mental grind, right? To have to stay in shape and perform and potentially miss, some other life events. I guess, I'm trying to get to a question here, but how much of it is a mental game just to try and stay at that top level for so long?
Well, I mean, I think it really is. And I mean, you see on the seven circuit all the time guys who come in, perform incredibly for one or two tournaments, and then you almost never hear from again. So being able to do that consistently over a number of years is a massive challenge. And the guys who've been able to do that, I think it's a testament to that mental strength they bring. And I mean, I think it's also you watch certain guys, and I mean, I'll kind of pick out Martin Yusefo here. I think he was one guy who, for a number of years, he'd have games, he'd have moments where he was perhaps the best player in the world, but doing that consistently every single game was, I think, something he struggled with. And then kind of in that 2018, 2019 second of time period, he was a guy who took a real step forward in that area for me and was just every single game, every single moment performing and being in the right place, doing the right thing every time. And seeing him take that stride, I think was one of the biggest reasons we were able to have that season we did. So it is a mental challenge. I mean, even here, like, we're so excited to be here. We're in Dubai. We're having a great time. We're getting ready for the weekend, but we've undergone a 12-hour time change, which we have to get used to in kind of 1 or 2 days, and then go out there and get in 1 or 2 training sessions a day and try and perform at the level that you want to when it's like 2 a.m. back home. So it is a challenge and it is something, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's also something that we love to do and we're excited to do. So once you get out there, that's a great part of it. But back there on the training field, you got to go through 6 months of really hard training. And it's not like a lot of sports where you're playing kind of every weekend. We'll have like months where we don't play, and then you get one tournament, then you got another month off, and then you play again. And kind of that constant battle of training is something you struggle. I think everyone struggles with, but is a great thing when you get it right.
Yeah. One more player I want to talk about. He's someone that you came up with at about the same time, Stephen Thomasine. He's had his ups and downs, dealing with injuries. I think that's just part of the game, right? Just mentally and physically dealing with injuries. But talk about his importance to the team and how you've seen him grow since you left and have returned.
I mean, Stevie's he's a special one for me because we played together on a collegiate All-American team, and then soon after on the Eagles. And he was actually his first big injury was the one that I then made my debut for. So that was pretty devastating to watch, but it was obviously a big moment for me. And so then he had just kind of a few years there between sort of 2014 and 2016, 2017, where it just felt like every single time he was getting back to performing at the level we all knew he was capable of, he would get knocked back and have to start all over again. And the fact that he was able to kind of just constantly deal with those tough moments and get back to being a player who was nominated for a World Player of the Year award in 2019, I think is testament to that mental strength. And it's been awesome to watch kind of his evolution, not just as a player, because I think he's always had that talent and ability, and we've all known that, but his evolution as a person and as a leader within the team has been great to see. And I think it's something that he'll probably tell you he's still working on. I think all the team look to provide energy, to provide inspiration, to provide an example. And he's a guy that that he's going to be giving his absolute all every single second out there on the pitch. And if you need something special in the last minute of a sixth game of a weekend in 100-degree weather, he's going to be there grinding and giving everything. And that's a guy you want to go to battle with.
Madison, we haven't heard from Carlin Isles in a while, and this may not be your place to comment, but anything you can share on how he's doing and what he's up to?
I don't have too many specifics. I do know he became the principal of a school not too long ago. So I think he's right now he's enjoying life with his family and has taken a step away from rugby. And who knows? I mean, I think we all love watching Colin fly down the field. So who knows what happened? But I'll leave it to him to kind of speak on that.
So when you were coming back, you didn't make phone calls like Danny, Falau, Carlin. Hey, we're getting the band back together. Come on.
I mean, I had some conversations with different guys, but I think everyone's kind of in their own individual place and individual moment. And what might make sense for me doesn't necessarily make sense for others. I mean, I think it is a challenge that probably the US has in a way that some of the other countries don't, is that, I mean, our country is so big. Like if say Danny wants to be in Washington with his family, then it's hard for him to be in San Diego training with a team. And if everything was kind of focused around one city, like some of these countries are, then you might see guys able to kind of do it for longer and put aside different aspects. But I mean, it's hard being away from your family. Like my fiance has been up in the Bay Area for a number of years, and every year I was down in San Diego, I wasn't up there with her, and that was a challenge and something I struggled with. But I think it's, for all these different guys, there are different sacrifices you have to make, and for everyone, it's kind of a different decision and different decision points you're weighing.
So let's jump into Paris Olympics. This could be your third Olympic Games. Had to have been a huge factor in your returning. You know, what would it mean for you to get back there? What would it mean for you?
I mean, it would mean, a hell of a lot. I think that it was a big factor in kind of my decision. I think I've had two cracks at it and have been pretty, big disappointments in many ways for kind of different reasons. And I mean, in particular, that quarterfinal in Tokyo with me, we really had ourselves in a really strong position and let that one slide. And so I think I definitely feel like I've got unfinished business there. And I mean, really that kind of whole year into the year and a half of COVID into Tokyo was a challenging environment. I mean, obviously it was awful for the whole world for lots of different reasons, but I think it was something that as a team we didn't get quite right, that environment, and that's something I'll look back on and regret. And so having this kind of another opportunity to go out there and hopefully really be a valuable presence. And I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't want to be on that Tokyo roster, but it would mean almost as much to have these next 12 months to be a great presence within the team and put the team in a great place. And so hopefully I can do that and really add something and take this team to a level where going into those Tokyo Olympics, the team's firing and ready to take the next step that we weren't able to the previous two times.
Well, with that said, Madison, obviously you feel you're ready. Obviously, you're there for a reason, Dubai. You're not there to take up bench space. What's it going to take for you to get back into that level of play that could qualify you for an Olympic Games?
I mean, I think it's going to start with some game time. I've played, obviously, a couple PR7s events, but haven't played much rugby in the last couple of years. And so I think there's only so much you can get from training. And I'm hoping that kind of the training that I've had over the last couple of months and the work that I've been putting in has prepared me that I can go out there and be a presence and kind of get back to what I was doing before. But I know it's crazy. It's been 3.5 years since I played in the World Series now, and
Wow.
2 years since the Olympics. So it's been a while since I've played at this international level, and I'm excited to go out there and test myself, and hopefully I'm able to show that I've still got it and can still perform at that level and help the team and really drive us forward. Because I'm not here to kind of just to be here. I'm not here to check any boxes. I'm here because I want to add to what the team can do, and I wanted to help take what the team was really building over last season and help us bring it to a new level.
Well, it sounds like you're doing step one. You're hydrating. Which definitely
always. I swear it's hotter here than I remember it being. So it's a sweaty environment. You got to make sure you're drinking. I'm drinking some water.
I'm sure you've seen the news, right? Antoine Dupont, Michael Hooper, just to name a few of the big name 15 stars that are linking up for their shot at gold in sevens in Paris. Are you, you've played with obviously big name players on the sevens circuit, but are you excited to share the stage with some of those other new names?
I mean, I am. I think it's always exciting when kind of the stars of the 15s world come out and give sevens a go. I mean, it's interesting. You look back on kind of the history of sevens and like back on those traditional Hong Kongs where like Jonah Lomu and I think Christian Cullen were playing and stuff like that. And that was always a really cool part of sevens. And as sevens has become kind of more full-time and professional, I think it's just become a harder and harder transition for those guys to make. And I mean, if you look back on the people who've tried to cross over since we got to the Olympics, very few of them have really been much of a presence. I mean, Sonny Bill and Quade Cooper, Brian Habana trying to come over before Rio. And I think Sonny Bill was the only one who wasn't like that, didn't really stand out that much. Evans pitch. So from the obviously DuPont's probably the best player in the world right now and obviously has all the skills. So it'd be really exciting to see him come out and see what happens, and we can test ourselves against them. But I think it's always fun for the sevens guys to see those 15 stars come out and to be slightly surprised by just what it takes. So it'll be fun to see. But I think, yeah, we're not particularly fearful of anyone, and so it'll be more fun to play against those guys who we've all watched in the World Cup and watched play around the world. But yeah, it'll be fun, and I'm excited to see those guys come out and see what happens.
Sounds like Madison has a chip in his shoulders. Damn 15s players.
No comment.
Madison, I know we only got a couple of minutes left with you, so a couple of light questions here. So, you mentioned you're in business school, taking a little break here. So I got to ask you, from a marketing and branding perspective here, Sevens has kind of rebranded, and they've taken both the vowels, the E out of Sevens, so it's now SVNS. Put your marketing cap on for a second. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm tempted to no comment again there. We'll see what happens. I mean, we've been kind of pseudo mocking it with the Svens Duxbur in Dubai here. But no, I mean, I think the sevens has been interesting over the years because it has undergone a number of kind of evolutions with playing in different places and having different tournaments in different spots. And I think it's been an interesting challenge to figure out how to market sevens and how to build that audience. And for me, I always loved the kind of having the local model of driving the engagement and driving the excitement in local markets and building a world series around that, rather than trying to do it kind of in a centralized manner and dictate to all these markets all around the world that have kind of very different audiences and very different demographics of people they're trying to attract. But I can only be really excited about what they're trying to build, and I'm really hopeful that kind of this latest evolution of the sevens series is one that really captures the attention of the audience. But yeah, no, for me, I mean, I always loved when you had kind of a really focused local strategy behind kind of each tournament. And I think that was the one that really bore success when it was people who really understood their local markets and understood how to capture that audience and bring them in. So the short answer to your question is I'm slightly nervous of kind of this world dictated strategy, which is what it seems to be, but hopeful, and we'll see what happens. And hopefully it's a fantastic season and they really build some good audiences and a good fan base.
And lastly, another lighter question for you. We talked about your teammates earlier, new and old. If you could steal some skills or natural abilities, not speed, you obviously have that. Ignore Chat GPT. If you could steal any of those things from a current or former teammate, what would it be, and what abilities of theirs will it take? Like I said, Baker's speed, Danny's physicality. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you said no speed, but if I had the choice, taking Colin Isles out and out speed would be a big step for me. I mean, I think I've played with so many teammates. You mentioned Danny's physicality was amazing and was always awesome to have him on your side. Falau's ability to pass the ball, to kick the ball with both feet, to read the game was amazing. I mean, Marco Unafe and Marty Yosefo's sidestep and offloading game from Marty. I mean, like some of those guys it's absolutely incredible, and being on their team, and I'd sometimes be following along and just being like, how did he do that? I mean, Perry especially, that 2017 to 2019 sort of that 2-year run he had, where it felt like every time you gave him the ball, he was just doing something absolutely incredible. So, I mean, I've got, all of those guys and many more. I would take a lot of the Stevie Thomas and his just engine and his ability to just have that pure, like his 100% of his speed. He seems to be able to produce that no matter how tired he is. And that's something that is really awesome. Pinky's ability in the breakdown. I mean, so every single one of these guys just does something at such an elite level. And that's, I think, part of what made some of those teams so special. And it'll be awesome to see kind of some of these new young guys coming through and showing that they belong to be talked about with any of those older guys.
Yes. All right.
Back.
Yeah. Madison, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Good luck this weekend in Dubai. Looking forward to chatting again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. That was fun.
All right. Cheers, man. Drink up.
Have a good one.
All right. Hey, thank you all for listening to today's show with Madison Hughes. Fitzy and I have a long day ahead of us. We have the rest of the afternoon to prepare for our next show. tonight with USA Men's 15's head coach Scott Lawrence. Interim head coach Scott Lawrence. 9 p.m. Eastern time. God, I can't speak all of a sudden. I'm not even drinking yet, Fitzy. So we'll talk to him about this past year in USA Men's Rugby, his future, and more. Again, will we see the interim tag removed soon? We'll definitely ask him about that. Not that he's going to tell us straight up about that, but that will be on the question list. If you join us live then, come on up here and ask a question as well. I apologize for not inviting anyone this 30 minutes with Madison. We just didn't have a lot of time, so we just ran with it ourselves. But we will have time with Scott later. Come on in and ask a question live here on Twitter Spaces app on your mobile device, or you can listen in live on YouTube or Facebook live stream it at the same time. So hope to see you again tonight at 9 p.m. East Coast time. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.